Now we come back to Nairobi, Kenya, where there has been a standoff, and leaders of the unions who are with us, and teachers are due to appear before the court yet again this morning. The teachers' unions have rejected a court order asking them to suspend their month-long strike, demanding that the government must first withdraw a case it has filed against the teachers. The teachers are demanding that the implementation of the pay increase of between 50 to 60% be awarded by the courts. Yesterday, the unions filed yet another application in court calling for a reconstruction of the Court of Appeal bench hearing of their cases on grounds that it had been compromised. The government has ordered schools to be reopened, but yesterday most schools went without any teachers. And now joining us is Michelle Ngele, who is at the Court of Appeal. Thank you for joining us, Michelle. And what is happening at the Court of Appeal this morning?
Good morning, Michael. It is the 5th week of the teachers' strike and the stalemate continues. Now, we do have a hearing today before the Court of Appeal in which the Teachers Service Commission appealed that order to hand teachers a 50 to 60% salary increment. Now, this hearing was initially set to take place on the 21st of September, but it was adjourned after the teachers' unions presented an application which sought to dismiss that appeal by the Teachers Service Commission on grounds that the Commission had failed to comply with court orders. Now, the teachers were seeking to dismiss the entire hearing, Michael, but counsel representing the Salaries and Remuneration Commission, Firoz Naroje, as well as the Attorney General, Githu Muigai, complained and said that there was no application of contempt of court charges against them, and so they should have been allowed to proceed with the appeal on that order to hand teachers a 50 to 60% salary increment. Now, the teachers again argued that that application against the Teachers Service Commission also extended to the Salaries and Remuneration Commission as well as the Attorney General, who are interested parties, since they had sought to be enjoined in this case as interested parties taking the same position as the Teachers Service Commission. Now, the three-judge bench at this time of the hearing decided that both the appeal by the Teachers Service Commission and the application for dismissal of this appeal by the teachers' unions would both be had as one hearing in that hearing that was taking place on the 21st of September, a decision that angered teachers because this would mean that the Teachers Service Commission would still have audience before the Court of Appeal, and they say that the Teachers Service Commission is not entitled and does not have the right to have audience before a court of law for being in contempt of court. Now, the teachers requested for an adjournment of this hearing, first of all, to reconsider their position in this case, whether they even want to be part of this case at all, and whether they want this case to be had by a 5-judge bench or a 7-judge bench, seemingly in an attempt to disqualify the 3-judge bench that initially had this hearing, saying that the final decision of this 3-judge bench might not be independent, Michael.
Michelle, is there anything conclusive we can get out of the hearing today? And is this strike getting closer to an end, or are these new terms and conditions just extending it further?
Well, Michael, there is a new twist to this strike following that decision and that ruling that was given by the Labor Relations Court on Friday that sought to suspend the teachers' strike for 90 days. Teachers have, however, remained adamant and defiant. Officials of the teachers' unions have said that the strike is still very much on. They have expressed their willingness to call off the strike for 90 days on condition that the Teachers Service Commission and the government withdraw all challenges against the 50 to 60% salary increment. And so we're not quite sure whether the Teachers Service Commission will be withdrawing that appeal before the Court of Appeal today, but that is what the teachers' unions want today. And so it looks like if the Teachers Service Commission does withdraw that challenge to the 50 to 60% salary increment, then teachers will be going back to school. But they were supposed to appear before the Labor Relations Court yesterday, Monday afternoon, but that hearing has been postponed to Thursday this week, seeing as the judge did not show up. He was ill, and so they say they will not go back to school until a few things from that ruling that was given on Friday are sorted out. First of all, to make sure that there is no negotiation of the 50 to 60% salary increment, and they also want a commitment by the Teachers Service Commission that they will honor the order of the Labor Relations Court.
All right, Michelle, can we then assume or say that should the TSC withdraw all challenges against the 50 to 60% increase in this particular hearing today, then the teachers tomorrow would be back in class?
Well, Michael, that's all the teachers want to find out, even from the Labor Relations Court. All they wanted was a commitment that the Teacher Service Commission would honor the 50 to 60% salary increment and would withdraw that appeal before the before the Court of Appeal. And so, yes, if the Teacher Service Commission withdraws that particular appeal, then this would mean, this would bring a bit of relief in this particular stalemate, because the teachers will then decide to go back to school, Michael.
All right, then would there be any importance if they went back to class of the hearing on Thursday?
Come again, Michael?
Would there be any importance, or what would the impact of the hearing that we're expecting on Thursday when the teachers come before the judge?
Well, Michael, like I mentioned, all they wanted was a commitment that the Teacher Service Commission will withdraw the challenge against the 50 to 60% salary increment, and that commitment would then see the teachers' unions convene a meeting with their top decision-making organs in their unions, after which they would have decided the way forward. This was supposed to happen yesterday, but the hearing before the Labor Relations Court did not take place, and on Thursday, when they meet before the Labor Relations Court, then that hearing will be determined by what will be happening in the proceedings at the Court of Appeal today. And so if the Teacher Service Commission does withdraw that appeal, then that would mean then the teachers on Thursday will decide to go back to school. But if the Teacher Service Commission does not withdraw that appeal today, then it also means that as the teachers' unions appear before the Labor Relations Court on Thursday, there will be no commitment by the Commission that they will withdraw this appeal before the Court of Appeal. And so we're not quite sure what the way forward will be, but the teachers' unions remain adamant that the teachers' strike is still very much on until they get that particular commitment.
Finally, Michelle, before I let you go, what is the atmosphere where you're at? Now that you've interacted with the TSC officials, you've interacted with KNUT officials, with KUPPET officials, do you feel like there is a softening or a way that they are sort of agreeing that this can come to an end? Or are they still very hard-stand and resolute that unless this is done, there will not be any agreement?
There seems to be no agreement between the two parties. The Teacher Service Commission has accused the teachers' unions of manipulating them. First, by going on strike to compel them to pay teachers the 50 to 60% salary increment. And secondly, now refusing to call off the strike for 90 days as ordered by the Labor Relations Court until the Teacher Service Commission withdraws the challenge against the 50 to 60% salary increment. And so it just seems to be getting even more tense between the two parties. The Teacher Service Commission accusing the teachers' unions of manipulating them. The teachers' unions accusing the Teacher Service Commission. First of all, they're accusing the Teacher Service Commission of not being an independent constitution. It is supposed to be an independent constitutional independent constitutional commission, but the teachers are arguing that the government has a hand in the dealings of the Teacher Service Commission as well as the dealings of the judiciary, and that is why they have asked the Chief Justice to reconstruct the judges' bench hearing this case before the Court of Appeal today. They want a 7-judge bench or a 5-judge bench, but they want the 3-judge bench that had the case on the 21st of September to be disqualified on grounds that their final decision may not be independent. The court, however, on the 21st did assure the teachers that the decision of this court is very independent, that there is no hand by the government or by the executive. Clearly, the teachers have not bought this particular stance by the court, and so they want the Chief Justice to reconstruct the judges' bench.
Thank you very much, Michelle. That's